Hello, my name is Vadim. Today we'll be talking about RAG ops. Don't mistake with RAG, with the cleaning supply. So a little bit about me. I'm solution architect. I work in IT more than 8 years already. I was working mostly in startup and teams of enterprise companies of different sizes. And lately, I was really interested in working with AI, how we can integrate it in the real systems, how it can benefit the experience of the final users, and how can it make more money for business. So, do any of us familiar with RAG? Okay, so what is it? It stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. It is, in short term, it is when before AI request, you're doing another request to some database, to knowledge base, any source of information, to get AI know of it. For example, just like ChatGPT, for example. When you're doing any kind of request to ChatGPT, it does a lot of inside black box stuff. We don't know about that. But there is one very easy to see thing. For example, when you're asking ChatGPT to go for a specific site and retrieve information there, it does a request and gets a new information for ChatGPT to make a better answer for you. It does that because the model, pre-trained model, it's knowledge based on very specific data, pre-trained data. And to change the model to include in the big language model a very specific data you wanted, it is very expensive, and you just don't know when do you need very specific data. And this method makes it very straightforward to add to model specific data without the need to retrain it. What are the main features of RAG and RAG ops? Ops, I mean the operations to make RAG work for you anytime. When you ask for a specific information, for example, what is the weather tomorrow, for example, any of large language models don't know information about that because the weather is changing every day, and to get relevant information you need to ask that maybe weather service, some meteorology agency, something like that. So what does it do? It does it in real time. When you're asking, hey, what's the weather tomorrow? It will go to that service or maybe to database where the knowledge is located, retrieve that, and add this information about the weather tomorrow, for instance, to the main prompt. And the prompt together, as you can see here, full prompt, will be like, what is the weather tomorrow? And there will be a specific invisible prompt, data from meteorology agency, tomorrow will be very hot. And the response will be, yeah, tomorrow will be very hot because the meteorology agency said that. It also makes the result statement very accurate because it depends not only on the model itself, but on actual data. RG can make we can make very different RG systems for different domains. I will talk a little bit about that later when we will go about the use cases. And also into the RG system, we can integrate data security, compliance, and ethics. Why does RG matter? Because if you implement it successfully in a very complicated data knowledge system, it will increase the ease of access to that knowledge on a very big amount. For example, when you use just a corporate wiki, sometimes it is very easy just to type in search bar specific information and just get what you need, but it not always work. If you misspell something or the search engine is poor, you will not find the needed information. Use case example. A few months later, a few months before, I was integrated RG systems in a few different systems. One of them was making the ease for generating reports about any kind of information for managers without the need to use developer time to create a specific report for you, especially if it needs to be like complicated database query or some scraping around to different sites. Another project we were developing, it is a chatbot for the Moodle LMS. Moodle LMS, it is a system where you can, which you can introduce to your students, and they will learn inside of it about any specific domain. RG systems excel in natural language because they're trained on them. Usually, it also involves AI before the process of final request, so it makes another level of natural language processing. Actually, use cases are everywhere, but there are always some specific dark sides. You can say that RG it is just a fancy search engine, and yes. I prepared a little masterclass about how easy you can make a real working pipeline of RG system, just in a few minutes. We will analyze this demo, and after that I will tell about that more in depth. So there I have NA10. Can you see it? Yeah, I think it's fine. So what is this tool for? It is one of tool I use to make pipelines. Do anyone familiar with NA10 or pipelines? Yeah, a little bit. So we have really simple pipeline over there with a specific AI agent. I just use OpenAI chat model without any specific tools or memory stuff or anything. You can just talk with it here, just like to test it. Hello, how can I assist you today? For example, we would like our internal system to know specific information. Here we have our Luminar conference. Let's ask ChatGPT about that. What are the speakers on our conference? It thinks a little bit, but says, if you can see it, unfortunately, I'm unable to provide that information because this specific OpenAI chat model is not pre-trained on that data. So it just can't help us in this question. I will show you one of the, I think, most hyped approach to solve that. So what do we have? It is Postgres database, embedding, vector embedding. It is open source, just random open source model, very popular. And how does the pipeline work? We just have, for example, information about our speakers. And we can put this information to our database. So after that, we can add here a note. What happens next? Here, we can just add information to our pipeline. So ChatGPT will have the information about our conference. How do we do that? I have pre-prepared a database over there. It is really simple. If you also Claude helped me make it very fast. There are some technical details, but I think we will skip those. So what are we doing? We are collecting the data from the site. It could be any kind of scrapers. It also can be just manual copying of specific materials. For simplifying the demo, let's make just that. For example, that's me. We can add this information to our external data source, just like here. So that's some information. It is not, there are no specific tuning or cleaning of this information. It could do just any of scrapers. But of course, if you're doing better scraping of information, it would be much, much better. And we're just saying that, oh, here it is. It is a speaker of our conference. It will be our metadata. Just like that. We have this information. After that, we can, what can we do? We can embed, make an embeddings for our information. Here, I have an endpoint of this specific model. What does the model do? Model translates this text to a vector. Vector, it is just numbers, actually. Here are dimensions and here the model. The app for embedding also Claude helped me to do. It is also pretty simple and actually works with just one script. I was really impressed that Claude make it super easy for me to make that, and it worked from first try. So you even don't need to be an engineer already to make really simple applications. So we have our embedding. but it is just numbers. What do we do with that? We insert it into the vector database. There I have my insert vector. Success was true. And over there we can check that, oh yeah, there is a select rows from the table and there are some information. So the next step, what are we doing? We are making a query for that. To receive that specific information, we just scrapped from our side to the AI agent. I use N8N because it is very simple to draw a pipelines over there. You can just put some blocks in and out, and it will just work or not work. But of course there are much better tools for doing all of that stuff. So here, what are we doing? We have just the same our chat trigger, and we would like our information from chat, let's make a new session, for example, to be embedded again, because we have our information in numbers here. We need also numbers to search inside. Why do we have numbers and not just a text? It is one of the ways to preserve really big chunks of information to the database and have really natural language processing inside. Because in that way, I don't need use a very specific keywords to get a result. I can just use something similar. So what are we doing here? The same chat trigger. What does it do? For example, the same our message, the first one. What are the speakers for our conference? Let's test chat here. We have our message. We just doing the embedding of this specific message and getting the same sequence of numbers. It is a little different, but it is still just random numbers. After that, we are doing the database vector search about that. And we have here some content, my data, similarity score. But I think it is little wrong data. Let's check this one again, so we are not mistaken. Let's re-upload the information, because I see that the specific vector is not inside yet. Yeah, we inserted this data and trying to retrieve it here again. Oh no, we need to have a test in this chat. Okay. I see. The issue is we were inserting my data instead of actual agenda here. It is a little debugging online. I will show you that again. So the thing here, there is my data, but we don't really want my data here. We would like to import a very specific string. We can do it like that. And after that, we're just making a chat request again. Okay, never mind. On this step, we are getting from the database the same data we were inserting here. In the next prompt into the AI agent, we'll have this information as a content over here. For example, as a system message, right? Here is your context-specific data. And we have here our speaker information. After that, we don't need those steps for now. We can just connect the chat and have our the same chat message again. Agent will think a little bit longer, but over there you can see, because of this prompt injection of very specific information, now the model can give us the exact information we put inside. For now, I put information only about me, but in real applications, you can add any amount of information, also from different sources, that will work together. So, but it is not working. I mean, it works, but it could fail in production. On real situations, the station may be different, and all of that may just not work. Why that? All of that because we need to have our RAG system very concise and have a lot of integrated services. I mean specific techniques we can enhance the rack output to make it work better for us anytime. I will tell a little bit about bad practices. We actually was doing that kind of demo. The most hyped method of using RAG, it is just put everything to a vector database and receive the information from there. But it really depends on the information and on what exactly you want your information to be processed. It still works, but in like real stations, in real companies, not all data can be suitable for vector database, and there are a lot of different approaches we can use to make the system much better. So, what are the best practices? When you're planning your RAG system, I think you need to plan content architecture first. The things I would like to mention, it is sometimes the information just comes from different sources. It could be a PDF document, it could be external database, it could be an API. And having all the information together, cached in one place, might be easy for demo, or might be just more convenient because it is easier to manage. But it may not work for big applications, especially when you have a lot of like documents in Microsoft SharePoint or something like that, and they're updating constantly, you would like a special request for those specific documents and check what's inside of them. Maybe they were updated yesterday, but the model thinks they were not updated. Also, inside of documents, there are different strategies how we can chunk the document. It could be a little document just for one page. Maybe it is template of how do we pay money to government, or maybe it is very big instruction how to build a rocket, or more than 1,000 pages. And there are also techniques how we can divide the chunks of very big documents to make it digestible for AI models. Retrieval strategy, it is also a thing. We don't need just to use one specific search database just in our chat message as we did on our example. There could be different types of search, and we can use metadata with our just random search strings. So the chunks of information inside the database will have information about other chunks of information. That way, we can make a coherent result with proved links inside the information. Another thing, it is how do you prepare your information, because if you just scrap a false site, there would be a lot of text you just don't need in real application. For example, some C optimization stuff, or maybe some code that was just scraped because the scraper was configured that way. We don't want that. We would like to have good quality of information. It could be a really hard problem to solve, especially, for example, in OpenAI or Anthropic or those models. They're having they spending a lot of money to make very good models to support their users. And there is the same thing, because what are we doing? We are making more context, more information for those models. The monitoring and maintenance also very important in terms of long-term using. Monitoring can show us how is RAG used, the RAG being used, or is it used at all? And we need to have its information updated constantly also. And if user likes it, of course, we can make feedback loops and see what information is better for user, or is just not. So, okay, we made the demo. Let's talk a little bit about how do we implement it in real production. The very important thing is planning. I would like to think security first. So security and compliance for me is in the first place. When you plan your data structure, where you get the information, you need to put in your head the idea about who will use this information and whose is this information. Because there are a lot of ethics and compliance issues could be with any kind of information. Some of architecture patterns they're shown. Microservices, I think for now it is the best solution for big closed corporations, because they would like to have everything on premise, and systems would be much easier to be built in microservices in case of RAG-based systems, because you have a service with AI model, service with embedding model, service with chat, and it is just easier to implement in this specific case. Also, it is possible to use serverless solutions. It might be much easier to scale, and we don't care about like on-premise servers or anything. And hybrid solutions. The one I showed is hybrid, because the embedding model is located on this computer, but OpenAI model is like somewhere else. Also, why is microservices might be the best for corporates? Because all the models are located inside of their infrastructure, and you can have full control of the information and how is it put together inside. For example, in hybrid version, even if you launch your model in private cloud, you can't really know what's happening there for sure. Another thing is DevSecOps. I would like to call it that way. Therefore, I always like brag. Okay, I have a bonus for that later. So the principles here is the same for DevOps, because you have your pipelines, you have your structure, you have your CI/CD, and you would like to have a constant updates here, and to put it together and have a monitoring and KPIs and hope for better ROI. A little bit about security and compliance. How we can protect our data. How we can get only that data that we really need. It is actually very hard problems. The first thing is data protection. The very basic stuff, it is just to have your database secured, have password there, maybe not a password, a specific keychain application, or any of modern secure solutions would be much better than nothing, of course. Access control. This is a very important thing. When you work with a lot of different information, a lot of data sources, you need to know that not all of the users have access to every information. For example, you have the admin user. It has access to everything. But for example, some very specific users who works, for example, in sales, they don't need, excuse me? I got a call on my watch. For example, the sales team guy, he would like to have information about clients, about how a client's located, about some knowledge inside the platform, about maybe some documents inside of SharePoint, that kind of stuff. But he don't need to have an access to critical information, to financial reports, to maybe some specific clients, and to admin API. So in that case, we have a role-based approach. For each user, when the user tries to use RAG system, we check is the access is good for this user. Can it access to specific API? And if he can't, if he just not an admin, we just don't give AI information. And here we can make a very secure approach about who will get the information inside the system. Another thing is compliance auditing. We have a lot of different compliances in different regions. For example, I was working with GDPR recently in Europe, and they would like all the information about the users inside Europe. And if you have like worldwide application, you may have servers in different places. So you would like to have a specific server, for example, Germany, Frankfurt, to have information about German users. And also here, through RAG system, you can get access to very specific information. Also, I can add here information about ethics, about how do we get the data to be appropriate to ethic rules. It can be integrated in two ways. It can be integrated in API level, in the retrieval part, when we just have an agreement to very specific data sources where we can get information. And we have also another, for example, AI agent inside the RAG system that will scan the information and check if it is good for ethic policies. Fast recap of key points. So the main features of RAG is contextual understanding. So you can add your specific context and can get coherent answers from multiple sources. Ops matters, operations for RAG to be updated in real time and always deliver actual information. Some of best practices, like content-first architecture, secure by design, and thinking about pipelines. NA10 is not the best tool for doing, but I think one of the simplest. I also used PostgreSQL, that mini-LM model from Hugging Face, Python, and Cloud AI just to help me prepare faster. Some insights about future. The RAG is already everywhere. Any general web ChatGPT request will have a lot of RAG blocks inside to help us get the actual information. But in future, models will be smarter, infrastructure will evolve, security and the hacking also will continue to rise. But what is the interesting thing here, I think, it is because of AI will be smarter, all of those pipelines can be made automatically. So what do? It is like write into random Cloud AI or ChatGPT thing like, hey, I would like the information about everything what I need. It will just do it for you. I have a bonus. RAG, we see RUG. Know the difference. And here are my contacts, LinkedIn and Telegram. Thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions?
So just a second. So like, yeah, question time. So yeah. If you have any questions, please ask. Close the mic.
Thank you for the. I have a question. So you're saying that you can scrape any kind of data anywhere, basically. Is there any kind of standard rules to have some prohibition of scraping resources? For example, you have your website and you don't want to have it in a Google and stuff like this. You just put index whatever the file, I don't remember the name. So, and is there any kind of rules in this case that I don't want my information to be scrapped?
Actually, very good question, because we have a lot of different sources, and I think that for each source there are specific tool to scrape that. Now we don't really have any super universal tools. Maybe if you want to make it super universal, you can just have like all the information inside, put it to ChatGPT, and it will kinda prepare any kind of information for your system. But it is bulky, in my opinion, and it will not deliver the maximum accuracy for the information. There are really some scrapers for sites, for example, for web pages. But for example, for API, you would like to use a different approach. You would like to use a system of, for example, REST requesters, analyze their information, and prepare them into human-readable form, and put them back to the user. Actually, but there are also another thing I was mentioning about chunking information. If it is very big document, for example, thousands of pages, you need a special scraper inside of it. So it will scrape the each danraku inside of a document, and will have the metadata for that to put it together and have it be possible to work with the RG system.
Thank you.
We actually have an online question.
Oh.
So basically, is there like any recommendations on tools that can monitor for secrets or leaked keys? So the user is asking it, like they had like an internal system, and a lot of the users are not security specialists, so they tend to put some secret data, some private keys, passwords into the system. So is there like any recommendations that can be implemented in this area?
Yeah, it is also a very nice question. In the one of ways to address that, it is to have a preprocessor for your information. And inside of this preprocessor, we can add additional rules for this information. For example, if you have a special keys inside, we can just say, hey, this information is not appropriate, so we will not remember it at all.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions from the audience?
Hi, thank you. Hi, just a quick one. You mentioned about within a company, the access control. Can you explain the strategies for that? Because I think that would be one of the very interesting point for a lot of corporates.
The SQL one?
No, the access control. So for example, salesperson cannot see certain areas. Like, do we basically, do we also include the access control document on the rack itself, or how do we do it? Or just like grabbing it from database, or we also summarize it in JSON file, then we post it before the search, or how do you do it?
There are also some different approach for that. The easiest one, it is to have your information. I can show it over there. Just inside of database, when there is very specific content is available only to a close group of persons, we can add another filter here. For example, a role-based filter. And if this specific information is only for like the CEO or like high base role, only he will get the information of a very specific data chunk. There are also implementations of bigger role-based systems where not only the table inside of Postgres is secured, but different APIs or different documents, for example, in the SharePoint. For this, we also would like to have the role-based system somewhere inside. Maybe it can be just another table in Postgres just to check who is eligible for which API, or we can also scrape or get the role table from the SharePoint itself, because they also have a role-based system for their documents. And for example, when user asks for a specific document or information in specific document, when we are doing this request, we are asking SharePoint, hey, SharePoint, this emailed user would like to access very specific information. Which documents can you provide? And we are doing the retrieval only with this information. That answer your question? Thanks.
Okay, we have maybe one more question if anyone has any. Okay, don't see anything from online. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Vadim. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.